Deborah from Magic Bookshelf, and today this video is going to be about my February wrap-up. So let me start off with the first book that I read this month, and it is The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight. It's actually a really fast read, and it's really short, and I've heard such great things about this book, and I was actually kind of disappointed because it wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be. And it's also set in a 24-hour period, and it's actually only 215 pages. So, yeah, great book. Not that great, but great. You can check the review for me and Johannes' review actually on the blog, because we co-reviewed it. And the second book that I read this month is, I don't have the actual book, but it's, yeah. And this book is actually really interesting because, the cover wasn't that great. I was really like, whoa, what is she doing, you know? She's not even sitting on the ground. She's actually flying. But it's about this girl. Her name is Gabby, I think. I totally forgot. And she actually dies in a car accident before she tells her best friend, that she likes him and she'd like to go out with him to the prom or whatever. And then she goes to this place called, not the heaven, but the place where people who die go there, and they basically have to protect the people who are living. And so she gets assigned to a person. And I know it kind of sounds difficult and weird, but it's actually really cool. The second book I read is Rae of Hope by W.J. May. And it's the first book of the Chronicles of Kerrigan. This book is awesome. I loved it. It's a young adult fantasy book, and I was so glad when the author contacted me about asking if we can read this book. And it's actually about this girl. Her name is Rae, and in the place where they live, there's some people who get tattoos, and she doesn't know until she's given a scholarship to go to this school in London. So she goes there and she thinks it's just a normal school, but it's actually a school for the tattoo people where they get to train them. It's a really good book, and the review will be up on the blog soon. Next book I read is Hidden by Miriam Halahmy. I actually picked this book up from the library, and it was actually really interesting because it's a coming-of-age novel, and talks about this girl, and she gets to meet this guy, and this guy's actually Iraqi. So he actually gets picked on, and they're like, you should get out of London, and I don't know what, and this is not your country and stuff, and she feels that it's really racist to do that. Come on, it is. And, Iraq has been in war for ages, and, if he goes there, he's probably gonna die. So I really like it when they have real-life stories sometimes, other than all the fantasy and paranormal and dystopian stuff. I do like to read some real-life stories because it's like a reality check or something. But I think it's a different and awesome book that I really enjoyed. And I'm not sure if the review's already up. No, the review's not up on the blog, but it will be up soon. And the other book that I read is Mean Earl and Dying Girl by Jess Andrews. Actually, this book really disappointed me. Benji at The Non-Reluctant Reader loved it, so I was really excited as I started it. I'm like, woohoo, this is gonna be a fun, not really fun, because as I read the synopsis, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a sad story, and I have a thing for sad stories. I like it when it's real and sad and heartbreaking and all that stuff, but it was actually weird, and I liked how the story was written, because it felt like the characters were alive. But then I think there was too much swearing in it and all that stuff. So, and actually, Mean Earl and Dying Girl is 304 pages. The other book I read is The Lifeguard by Deborah Can't say the last name, I'm sorry. This book I got it off NetGalley, and at first it was really good, but then it kind of slow-paced a lot. It was like, it's like I'm reading the same thing over and over again. She's the lifeguard. She thinks he's awesome. She sees the lifeguard. She wants to meet him. She sees the lifeguard. I mean, come on, let something cool happen in the story. And the lifeguard is actually 291 pages. The other book I read is Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins, which is the second book of the Hunger Games series, and it was amazing. I think it was actually the best book that I read this month. It was full of action and awesome stuff, and I loved it. I loved it so much. And I was actually happy because I finally got to read the second book of the Hunger Games, because I actually read the Hunger Games last summer. I know, I'm crazy. I didn't start the second one. And it was awesome. I loved it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Amazing book. And it was actually 450 pages. That's a lot. The other book I read is Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins, third book of the Hunger Games, and yes, I'm finally done with the Hunger Games. I finished a trilogy. I'm finally done with the trilogy series. I have a thing where when I start a trilogy and the second book is out, I never read it until like after a year, and that's so lazy. But the third book was kind of disappointing. I liked it, but I actually liked the second and the first way more than the third book. But it was a good ending, and I actually liked the ending. And Mockingjay was also 450 pages. And the last book that I read, or should I say heard, and this is my first audiobook ever. I actually read it and it was awesome. I actually heard it and it was awesome. And I actually enjoyed listening to it. I mean, the audiobook is really good. And it's called, the book's name is The Pledge by Kimberly Derting by Kimberly Derting. I love the cover, and it's actually an awesome book. It was really cool to listen to on my way to school and back to school, and when I'm doing the dishes and all that stuff. So it was really good. And that's the end of my February wrap up. And that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books I read this month. Oh yeah, and the pledge is 350 pages if you wanted to know. And it's like an audiobook. It was 7 hours and 44 minutes. And the book that I'm currently reading is Winter Girls by Laurie Halse Anderson. If you guys don't know who she is, maybe you'd recognize her by knowing that she's the awesome author of the book Speak. I haven't read that book, but I've seen it on many people's blogs, and mostly everyone I know read it, and I do have to get to reading it. But Winter Girls is a really interesting story. And that's it. If you guys have any February wrap-ups, please leave a link below because I love watching them. And other than that, have a good reading week or day or month. Bye, guys.